Hi, it's Builder Janie Pendleton. Today I'm going to teach you how to fix a buckle in your wood floor. First thing we're going to do is we're going to remove the shoe molding. Then we're going to take a sharp knife. I got my hunting knife with me because I can't find my box cutter. And you're just going to come along here and you're just going to score the top of the baseboard and you're going to score that caulking. Now, as you can see, the hump in my floor is right here. The reason being is because the weight of this solid oak floor is in this entire house. And this was the last wall that I did, so I worked my original way this way. That's been almost 10 years ago. Well, now, with the heating and the cooling of the seasons, this floor is real oak, so it swells and it shrinks. Well, in doing so, it moved more than an inch up against this wall. So, and this is winter time, and I know in the summer it's going to swell and it will buckle again if I don't fix this. And you can see here that I've actually popped up and above my baseboard right here. Now, this is the only place in the house that this has done this, but this is where the pressure of all the weight of all the wood in the entire house pushes on this end of the floor. It's a common problem. And you can see by the way that I got the walls painted yesterday. So the walls are painted. So I'm going to try to do as little damage as possible to this base trim. But yeah, it's hitting, it seems to be hitting right here. It seems like it's hitting those studs right there when it swells in the summer. So in that case, then I'll be looking to go into the crawl space, putting a few screws in and drawing the floor back down where it humps up right here. I'm here. Can you hear me? Okay, right now I'm just pulling all the old caulking off of the baseboard because I'm going to be putting on some new caulking. And I'm cleaning up right here. I'm cleaning up the old caulking off the wall right here. I want nice clean paint lines down here on my wood molding. Okay, once you get all of this all scraped off of here and you get all that thrown into a trash basket, you're going to come through here with the scraper and you're going to scrape off all that stuff like that right there. Then you're going to come through here just like this. My dog's trying to get in the room. And you're just going to try to kind of hit any of those spots that you might have tore up here with a little bit of spackling. We'll let that dry and then we'll sand that back off and we'll touch up paint that. Okay? Let's go through here and I'll finish hitting all of those spots. We'll run the vacuum on this. We'll get it straightened out. Okay, we're going to let that dry and then I'm just going to sand that down and then I'll touch up paint after I put on my trim mold back on. Okay, so we have the hump in the floor fixed. There's still a slight hump in the floor, but there's really nothing we can do about that at this stage. It's from the fact that we laid the floor this direction. It is a solid oak floor and therefore all the pressure when it gets warm out in the summer comes up against this part of the wall. So what we're going to do now is we've nailed the base trim back on. You know, I patched the walls and we got all that painted. We've got the base trim back on and now we're going to have to put on the shoe molding. So instead of using that finish nailer, we're going to go ahead and use the brad nailer. It's just a smaller nail And it's probably going to be about an inch, inch and a quarter long. They're a smaller brad nail and they will not break the shoe molding. This nail, you want to use a longer finish nail for the base trim, but a brad nail for the shoe mold. Like I said, that keeps that from breaking or cracking the shoe mold. It's more delicate and a lot smaller, so keep that in mind. And we want to hit this at the right angle so that, and with a brad nail, you want to be sure and wear your safety goggles, okay? Wear your safety glasses. Because a brad nail, because it's smaller and weaker, it can also ricochet off the wood floor. So we're going to try to hit that base trim the best we can and try to shoot a nail into the bottom of that base trim, right like this right here, okay? So that's where we're at. So come on, put on your safety glasses and let's get started. Okay, this is going to be loud because I got to get enough air to run my pneumatic nailer in the air compressor. My automatic air fill on that is not seem to be working for me today, so I'm just watching the gauge on that. Okay, and these look like they're 1 1/4 inches. Now we're going to start, because we brought this piece right here up too, see that this piece right here is up? We're going to go ahead and we're going to start by pinning down this piece first. Then we're going to put in this piece that we took out along this wall. Okay, so I'm going to use my foot to put that down. And that worked. So just use your foot and use this right here. You can even use the butt of a hammer. I have my underwear to show here for you. You can even use the butt of the hammer and just push. We're going to put in extra ones because this right here is where that floor bowed up. There we go. That's in there nice and tight. Perfect. Now we're going to come down here. Finish out that corner right there. Put in extras. About every 8 to 10 inches. Ought to do it if it's a problem where it keeps coming back, especially right here where we get a lot of pressure, that floor pushing up against here. Now I went through here and I cut back some of the wood floor so it would quit hitting the studs of this wall. So in the summer when this expands with the humidity and the heat, that should help. Remember, if every one of these solid oak boards move just a tiny bit, count the number of boards in your entire floor and you'll see that's several inches of movement every year that this expands. But you can't leave the wood out from underneath your base trim or your shoe mold. It wouldn't look right, right? So you got to give it as much room for expansion as you possibly can, or you will get that bowing in the floor. This is a pretty common problem with a solid oak floor. If you wish to avoid the problem, get an engineered floor. Go right here and I'll show you how to install one. That is that. Now we're going to go through this entire room and we're going to make sure that no other baseboard has came up, no other shoe mold. and we'll be right back. Okay. The door that I've installed is working well, and it is staying put. It's not closing, so that means it's nice and level. The wood trim and the wood blocks on here look really well. I might put one more nail in here. There we go. Just checking all the work that's been done in this room. And when we had that room addition on, we had to cut through the wall here. This right here was a brick wall here in this corner. So again, all this wood came flowing down here, and when it's buckled, it brought up this shoe mold. So I just got to get it back down. What I'm going to do is push. I'm not going to give this any reason at all to come back up again. A little caulking on that, a little fill-in, it'll be fine. Now normally I wouldn't use near this many nails. But like I said, this keeps popping up when the floor keeps moving with the summer on this end of the house. So had I invested and used, instead of a finish nailer on this floor, and I would have used one of those knee kick nailers, I probably would not have had this problem. Where I installed the floor in other rooms that I used the knee nailer, the knee kick nailer where you knee kick it, that was made actually for wood floors, I wouldn't have had this problem. But because of the swelling of the floors and stuff like that, and all I used under this floor, and it has kept it dry, is I used a 15-weight roofing felt paper. But you can see right here the swelling that has gone on in this room, the movements. There's spaces in here because it's winter. But when this swells up from summer and more humidity, you're going to see these gaps fill in. And I'll come back this summer and I'll show that to you. Wood floor is just like any other piece of wood. It breathes. And the finish on these floors are only on the top side. So you spill anything on these, you can swell them up. A good way to get a scratch out of a floor, out of a real wood floor, is to put an ice cube on it and let it melt slowly on there for about 15 minutes. Pull the ice cube off, and then maybe even might have to refinish that little spot, but that should, even on a kitchen table or dining table, that's a good way to get a scratch lifted and swelled up in the wood. Well, that's the same thing that's happening in your floor when there's humidity. It's breathing and it's moving and it's expanding. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead. Put one more in there. And we've been here for 10 years, so sometimes you gotta check your work, gotta fix things.